One, the most resentful, the most racist, the dumbest decision made by the Olympic Women's Basketball Committee, leaving out Caitlin Clark. Two, is Donald Trump going to arrest Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? We break it down with our lunch break panel. And three, airing out the dirty laundry, clearing out the room on The Will Cain Show. It is The Will Cain Show, streaming live at foxnews.com, on the Fox News YouTube channel, the Fox News Facebook page, and always on demand wherever you get your audio entertainment. Hit subscribe at Apple or Spotify. Hit subscribe on YouTube, and you can always hang out with The Will Cain Show. Go back and watch past full episodes or get exclusive interviews, like our interview with former President Donald Trump, which has now been seen over 1.4 million times on YouTube. Coming up a little bit later in the show today, we've got some air to clear. The Dallas Mavericks are down 0-2 to the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. And two-a-days Dan, Young Establishment James, and Tinfoil Pat. I don't know if you can read between the lines of the inter-show text chain, but there is some tension bubbling. I feel tense. I'm not happy with one particular member of our show staff, and it's time that we air this out. It's time we take the laundry.
All right, here we go.
Put it on the clothesline and let it see the light of day. This threatens to metastasize, to tear this show apart. Okay. And if certain individuals, quite honestly, don't get their crap together, this is going to be a cancer that destroys the Will Cain Show. So
we're
going to have to deal with this.
I've been trying to stay out of it as much as I can. I just let it happen.
Yeah, I can see the silence as a reflection of the tension is not going unnoticed. What started out with a bevy of texts has dwindled into silence, and that's good. That means you're picking up what I'm putting down, and I'm putting it down, and I'm not happy about the NBA Finals. I'm not happy about the Mavericks down 0-2 to the Boston Celtics. But I will say, I'm super impressed with the Celtics. We're going to deal with this in the final segment of today's Will Cain Show. I'm super impressed with the team. I'm super impressed with the coach. Joe Mazzulla, by the way, has studied under, I think, maybe the greatest coach, perhaps in professional sports, but certainly in the world of soccer, Pep Guardiola of Manchester City. And he's just done a phenomenal job in this series. He's calling timeouts at the right time. He's got his defense incredible, just shutting down Kyrie Irving and containing to some extent, at least tiring to some extent, Luka Doncic. But I really was impressed as well with this question that was asked to Joe Mazzulla after Game 2 of the NBA Finals. I want you to listen to this question and listen to his response.
Hey, Joe, Ben School, Yahoo Sports. For the first time since 1975, this is the NBA Finals where you have two black head coaches. Given the plight sometimes of black head coaches in the NBA, do you think this is a significant moment? Do you take pride in this? How do you view this, or do you not see it at all?
I wonder how many of those have been Christian coaches. David Aldridge?
And the room fell silent. Joe Mazzulla, head coach of the Boston Celtics, declining to, I think, indulge identity politics. I think what's left unsaid there, what I appreciate so greatly, is by pivoting to, I wonder how many of those were Christian coaches. Yes, he tells us what's important to him, but he also says something about the way we identify in society, that we have leaned so heavily into our most superficial characteristics. I think what he says, and I'm sure he doesn't reject his identity, but he doesn't use his skin color as his definition. Instead, he pivots to, I wonder how many of those coaches were Christian. I think revealing how he primarily identifies and asking, I think, all of us to think deeper about individuals and what deeper sense of identity can you derive than your spiritualism instead of your skin color. Man, really, really impressed with Joe Mazzulla, and not just as a basketball coach, but as a human being. I think there's something for everyone to learn, to witness, and to emulate, not just in the world of basketball, but in society. Let's, though, take Joe Mazzulla and his lesson and see if we can't apply it to the world of women's college basketball. Let us start with story number one. And perhaps the most resentful, the most openly racist, and the most dumbest decision imaginable. The committee of the U.S. women's basketball team to participate in the 2024 Olympics in Paris has decided not to include the leading scorer of all time in women's college basketball, phenomenal rookie, and international superstar, Caitlin Clark of the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark is, I think, without a doubt, one of the top 12 to 14 women's players in the world, certainly in the WNBA. She ranks in the top 75% of almost every statistical category that you would measure when it comes to guard play. She's in the top, I'm talking about the top 75% of the people selected for the women's Olympic basketball team. So she's better than 75% of the women in most of these statistical categories. Points scored, assists. She even ranks highly in rebounds for a guard, averaging something close to 6 rebounds a game. She's a threat, and then again, the top statistical category when it comes to three-point shooting. Caitlin Clark is on the merits, an Olympian. But even if it was a close call, it's just absolutely brain dead dumb to leave off Caitlin Clark. For years, we've heard women complain about the fact that they don't receive the attention or the treatment of men, not just in basketball, but in really any sporting endeavor. You can hear arguments about equal pay. You can hear arguments about mode of travel. Do we fly coast? Do we fly first class? Do we fly private? When the bottom line truth is, sports is an entertainment product, not so different from movies. And you're going to be judged by the box office. How many butts do you put in seats and how many eyeballs do you attract to the television? And no one has ever attracted more eyeballs to women's college basketball or women's basketball than Caitlin Clark. Her initial ratings in the WNBA seem to suggest she's forcing them to change stadiums from 3,000 person seat venues to 20,000 person seat venues. She's getting in the millions of viewers for a sport that was totally bereft of audience. It's subsidized by the NBA. It's not a profitable venture. And here comes along not just a superstar, but a savior. You could argue that Caitlin Clark is one of the most recognizable names and stars right now in basketball. Who we have in the NBA Finals? Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kyrie Irving. I'm telling you, while she might not be quite on the level of Kyrie Irving, she's getting there. Caitlin Clark. And there is no other women's player even in the realm of potential audience. And the Women's Olympic Basketball Committee, made up of 5 individuals, and it's worth knowing who these 5 individuals are. On the committee to select the Olympic team, it includes South Carolina head coach and former U.S. coach Dawn Staley, Simone Augustus, an LSU assistant, Delisha Milton-Jones, the head coach at Old Dominion, Jennifer Rosati, the president of the Connecticut Sun, and Bethany Donovan, WNBA head of league operations, have decided it's in the best interest of their sport, of the Olympics, to leave out Caitlin Clark. This is just chock full of resentment. I think the resentment is wide. I think it could cast a wide net as the source of the resentment. All of a sudden she receives all this attention, and these other women have been playing for years. All of a sudden people only want to talk about Caitlin Clark. They want to talk about anything they knew nothing of before the WNBA. And she is heralded as a superstar because she is a superstar, and there's just petty human jealousy. You could argue that this decision reflects the worst characteristics of humanity: jealousy and resentment, and also racism. There is without a doubt a role that race is playing in the way that she is treated, in the treatment of Caitlin Clark. I mean, this is a sport primarily dominated by black women, in the NBA, black men. And now the face, by the way, of both leagues is white. In the NBA, that's either Nikola Jokic or Luka Doncic. In the WNBA, it's Caitlin Clark. And there is resentment and backlash. You can see it in the way the players treat her on the court. You can see it in the response in press conferences afterward. But above and beyond racism and resentment, This is brain dead dumb. None of us want to hear ever again about whether or not you're flying coach or first class. No one ever wants to hear your pay compared to the men in the NBA. Your savior has arrived at your doorstep, bringing along with her eyeballs and butts to be placed on televisions and in seats. You are there to finally create a market, a capitalist opportunity to get paid. And you pass. No thanks. Rather lean into petty jealousy. And even if you want to argue, well, is she really one of the 12 best players in America? We're not talking about Anna Kournikova here. And Anna Kournikova was a good tennis player. She was good. I don't want to take that away from her. But her primary attention was because she was hot. You're talking about a player who not only brings attention, but can play, is great. And she has said for her sake, that's fine. She told her coach at the Indiana Fever, they've unleashed a monster. I think the WNBA has invited us all to ignore them. Ignore them at the Olympics. Ignore, as is par for the course and something we're used to doing, ignore women's basketball at the Olympics. What could have been a top 3 storyline? What? Simone Biles. I don't know what else at the Olympics, and I'm an Olympic fan. Everyone would have paid attention to Caitlin Clark. They've invited us to ignore them, which we're very used to doing. Ignore women's basketball. And for that, they should never receive a serious conversation ever again about their pay, their treatment, marketing. That's one of the favorite arguments that I like to make. WNBA would be as popular as the NBA if they would just be marketed. Well, you're being marketed, and you've rejected that marketing. And in response to all of that, Caitlin Clark has said they've unleashed a monster, but she said she responded this way to the disappointment of not being picked to the Olympics.
What was your level of disappointment not having your name on the roster?
Honestly, no disappointment. Like, I think it just gives you something to work for. That's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
Hopefully in 4 years I can be there. This is your savior, because if it's going to bring us back, it's going to be the class and the play and the popularity. This is your lifeline. This is your life vest. This is the buoy that has been thrown to you in the drowning sea of attention. And I can honestly say, if I'm drawn back to it, it will be because of Caitlin Clark. Resentful, racist, and brain-dead dumb by those that lead women's basketball. Let's see what our lunch break panel thinks about that conversation, plus whether or not Donald Trump is going to have her arrested. AOC, next on The Will Cain Show.
From the Fox News Podcast Network.
I'm Emily Campagno, and this is the Fox True Crime Podcast.
And I had nothing to do with her disappearance, but people still accuse me of it.
I sit down with the people who lived the nightmares.
I was in shock. I was just devastated.
The investigators who tirelessly worked on the case.
I feel for their families, and I really hope that they can catch this guy.
Bringing you closer to the story than you ever thought possible.
Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Pete Hegseth's eye-opening new book, The War on Warriors.
The army I fought for has gone woke, and it's time to fix that.
The veteran and Fox and Friends weekend host exposes the problems in today's military.
How a far-left ideology has infiltrated the system and is putting our entire country at risk.
With critical insight into the changes that need to happen in the Pentagon and America before it's too late. The War on Warriors by best-selling author Pete Hegseth. Order now at foxnewsbooks.com. Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hands.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
That heat's going to be out there for one more day.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com.
Ruth Bader Biden. Did Joe Biden hold on so long that it's now a detriment to Democrats? And is AOC going to get thrown in the pokey by Donald Trump? It is the Will Cain Show, streaming live at foxnews.com, on the Fox News YouTube channel, and the Fox News Facebook page. Just hit subscribe on Spotify or Apple, and you can catch the Will Cain Show, whether or not you're on your commute or walking on the treadmill. But if you're sitting at work, you want to watch the Will Cain Show, just hit subscribe on YouTube, or you can always join us over on Facebook at The Will Cain Show, in addition to airing on the Fox News Facebook and YouTube pages. That way you can become a part of our community. You just go hit subscribe. Part of our community today is our lunch break panel. It's Link Lauren, a Gen Z influencer, former campaign advisor to RFK. You can find Link on X at It's Link Lauren. And Vince August, he's a comedian. He's also a former judge, and he can be found on X and YouTube at Vince August 21. Glad to have you guys on the show. Link, what do you think about what I just had to say about Caitlin Clark? Seems just resentful, racist, and to me, astoundingly dumb to leave her off the Olympics.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the perfect person to ask because I don't even keep up with sports that much, let alone basketball. But I know who Caitlin Clark is. I know Caitlin Clark is a big deal and definitely should have been on that Olympics team. Also, in terms of branding and marketing, if you want to get your WNBA team out there, you want to get more eyes on the WNBA, why not put your money on the person who's the biggest star in your league right now?
Yeah. Vince, it seems, in your estimation, why?
Well, I want to begin by thanking you for not discriminating against me as I sit here with my piece of the parquet floor from the Boston Garden as a Celtic fan.
Here we go.
My piece of, what's another piece of the parquet floor autographed by Larry Bird. So thank you for having me on the show. No, but getting to the story.
I didn't know.
Look, it's a no-brainer from a marketing standpoint. You have to have her on the team. From a pure basketball standpoint, I tell people, look, if you look at somebody like Michael Jordan when he first came into the league, was he one of the 12 best players that year? You can make an argument, not necessarily. Now he's the greatest player of all time, maybe in the top 3 at worst, depending on who wants to throw in Kobe and LeBron. So purely basketball, I think it's good for Caitlin because it's going to give her something to work towards. From a marketing aspect for the WNBA for women's basketball, it was a crazy decision. It made no sense at all.
It reminds me of hockey. I'm going to tell you why. If you were the best darts player in the world, you would want to put your best foot forward. Every press conference, you'd welcome the press in and you'd welcome every question. You wouldn't try to emulate those that have already arrived. The best darts player in the world is not going to go up to the podium and act like Luka Doncic. You're not going to be short-winded. You're not going to be quick. You're not going to at times be irritable with the question. You're going to be appreciative at the very presence of the media. And everything that the WNBA and women's basketball at large does seems to try to not necessarily be antagonistic to its audience or the press, but to emulate the NBA. And this is why it reminds me of hockey. There was a time in the mid-2000s when hockey thought it was on the same level, the NHL, as the NBA or the NFL. And they started paying players, similarly. And all of a sudden, hockey guys made as much as NBA guys. It took a couple of years, and they realized our market's not this big. It took a strike. It took a lot of things that hurt hockey and set it back, and they had to readjust salaries to match their market. And I see the WNBA a little bit big for its britches right now. You're not the NBA. You need to be out there embracing everything that welcomes in an audience. You need to behave like darts because you're more comparable to darts than you are the NBA. You need to be finding ways to appeal to an audience, and there's nothing more appealing than Caitlin Clark, Vince.
I agree with you. From a marketing standpoint, 100%. Look, if I'm a fan of Caitlin Clark, though, I actually think for her development as a player, this might be a good thing because the last time we saw something like this with a college player that came out that was a great white hope, Christian Laettner, and we saw him rushed onto an Olympic team and he wound up busting. So again, for her development, I don't think I think it's going to help her game. I think it's going to help her develop. But yeah, look, no one can argue the marketing aspect of this. She has brought eyes to this game that weren't there before. And if she's not on it, well, guess what? Those eyes are going to follow her and they're not going to watch.
Right. All right, let's move to politics. Link, what happened since the last time I saw you? You were a campaign advisor to RFK. Now you're out with RFK.
So
what
much has
happened?
happened in the last 2 months, Will. It's been a crazy world.
And what happened in the crazy world? Why are you no longer a surrogate or a campaign influencer for Robert F. Kennedy Jr.?
Honestly, the short answer is some of the core values, policies of the campaign shifted, and I didn't think I could be additive there anymore. But I have total love for all the Kennedy supporters. Like, I have no issues with any of the Kennedy supporters. They're great, amazing people. In fact, that's really the only thing I miss is going to the events and seeing the Kennedy supporters. And I'm still cool with Bobby, still cool with the campaign, but I didn't think I needed to be there anymore.
Can I ask, just as a follow-up, and I know I'm prying, but, I just follow my curiosity where it is. What core policy differences did you find you differed with the campaign on?
I think some of the policies around pro-choice, pro-life, some of the other immigration policies and things like that just weren't exactly my personal beliefs and personal policies, but that's totally their prerogative. It's his campaign, right? He's RFK Jr. He can run his own campaign the way he wants to. And I also felt like it was time to just go be a voice for Gen Z, a voice for my generation without being in the confines of the campaign. And the reason people respect me in this business is I don't go and trash them. So I'm not going to sit here and spill campaign dirt, but I do wish them well. I said it when I left on April 22nd, and I mean it today. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And my answer is not so much for the gossip as the substance, but I appreciate it. I try to do the same thing, by the way. Even when I have deep disagreements or even in some cases dislike, I try not to talk about people that I've worked with in the past until they, cross some imaginary line that And I think
goes into the realm of necessity.
Our campaign was already plagued with so many leaks. And then after I posted my resignation announcement, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, New Yorker, every journalist is trying to talk to me, and I didn't talk to them. So I wasn't in any of those hit pieces. That's just not my vibe, to scorch the earth or burn people. And I do wish them well. So yesterday, Vince, I was on an airplane. I got on a plane from New York to Dallas, and I sat next to this lady. I don't know why I find all of these details intriguing for some reason. She had on Jordans. She had on Jordan lows, and I don't see ladies they do, but it's just not a common sighting. White lady. She was wearing a ball cap, and then I couldn't help but notice the entirety of the flight. Pretty much, she watched MSNBC, and I was watching this other world, man. Like in my side glance, and that world is crazy. Like. The one of the lower thirds on what they were talking about on MSNBC was Congressman Byron Donalds, black, from Florida, Republican. I don't know the original thing of what he had to say, but the lower third said Byron Donalds heralds that black family was intact under Jim Crow. And the conversation seemed to revolve around, does Byron Donalds want to take black Americans back to Jim Crow? And I don't know, again, the details, but I can imagine him stating something factual. I don't know if he's saying I doubt he's saying causationally, but correlationally, it's true. Black families were stronger in the, 1940s and 50s than they have been in the 1970s and 80s. And there's a lot of different reasons we can explore for that. But to turn that into, he wants Jim Crow, it's like, what an otherworldly thing is going on here with this lady on MSNBC. And although this wasn't on MSNBC, Vince, this was on CNN. This is the world that AOC is peddling to them that it would be like under Donald Trump. Watch this.
It sounds nuts, but I wouldn't be surprised if this guy threw me in jail. Really? He's out of his mind. I mean, he did his whole first campaign around lock her up. This is his motto.
Oh, he didn't say that, He said he didn't say the teasing.
Yeah, right?
That, yeah.
I take him at his word. I take him at his word. I take him at his word when he says that he's going to round up people.
That is from the Kara Swisher podcast. AOC saying that Donald Trump, Vince, is going to lock her up.
It's pretty funny hearing someone say they take a politician at their word. First off. Second off, look, this is classic AOC. And really what we're seeing in politics now, it's deflect. It's the other side is going to do the thing that we're doing right now, but they're going to do it. Yeah. And it's also, I think a part of it is she saw that what happened with the result of the trial and the guilty verdict, started raising him hundreds of millions of dollars. And she's like, wait a minute, I think I need a conviction. I need to be a target. I need to be part of this I'm going to get locked up thing. Maybe I could use it as a way. They're going to come after me, everybody. I need your money. Listen, I think she gets too much attention, and to be stuck on a plane and having to watch MSNBC or CNN at a corner of your eye, man, if there was ever a time you wanted a door to come off an airplane, it was probably during that flight.
You probably were hoping it was a Boeing flight. I feel like with AOC, every accusation is an admission. I mean, these people, they say, oh, he's going to jail his political opponents. Isn't that what you're trying to do right now? I mean, we just had this ridiculous case in New York, the 34 felony counts. So every accusation is an admission with AOC. Also, if Donald Trump said he was going to throw AOC in jail when he took office, his poll numbers would probably go up. Okay, that's a very positive thing. So AOC is also everything she used to stand against. You know, she's supposed to be this progressive outsider, and now she's like hanging out with Joe Biden, wearing aviators, hosting events for him. So I don't take anything that comes out of her mouth very seriously.
But your point,
nor does anyone else.
Link, Link, you heard Kara Swisher there in that interview actually reference my interview with Donald Trump, where he did say incorrectly, unfactually, that he didn't say lock up Hillary Clinton. And that's the biggest thing in the world to them, that he now saying he didn't say that. But they're making this like the biggest deal in an environment where they literally are this close to locking up Donald Trump. Like they're literally doing. You said it perfectly. I saw David Sachs, the tech entrepreneur from Silicon Valley, say what you said, Link, that every accusation is a confession. And this week, it wasn't just AOC. The Biden-Harris campaign put out this like statement. It's in text form. You can see it out there. Basically saying what AOC is saying. Oh my God, Donald Trump is going to use the DOJ to go after his political opponents. Like, what is going on here? You just did that.
Right. I mean, they're in a glass house and they're throwing boulders. So I think they're just trying to deflect, because that's exactly what they're doing with the DOJ right now. So all these ridiculous cases are just backfiring. I think the best thing for Joe Biden right now would be to have a conviction so he can actually go up in the polls and raise some real money.
I want to stay on CNN, Vince. You brought up CNN. So this is a little bit more of a serious topic, but I learned some fascinating things this weekend about the raid in Gaza that rescued 4 hostages. And here's why I referenced CNN. CNN ran a lower third after this. Shin Bet goes into Gaza, incredibly rescues 4 hostages, including the beautiful young lady that everyone saw taken away on a motorcycle. And then a lower third that said the hostages were released. Not released, rescued. And now, Vince, there's this conversation, it's out there, about whether or not this hostage rescue was somehow a violation of international norms or laws. I just flashed up on screen, and you can see it, and I'll read it for the audience who's listening to us on terrestrial radio or Apple or Spotify. CNN's headline talks about Shin Bet wearing Palestinian civilian garb. They were undercover, and that's a violation of international law. And in fact, this guy who's an international lawyer from the University of Sydney, and he's not a nobody. I mean, he's like involved in like the international criminal courts. He tweeted some stuff about this, like, this rescue attempt might have put Israel against the norms of international law. I mean, I want to pull this up so I can read this directly because it's pretty astounding. He said, Israel's rescue of 4 hostages in Gaza, 1, may have been illegally launched in anticipation that civilian casualties would be excessive, and 2, reportedly involved the additional war crime of perfidy. Never heard of it. But that's disguising some forces as protected civilians. And again, he's like, his bio says, Chalice Chair of International Law at the University of Sydney, United Nations Special, I don't even know what these words mean, Rapporteur on Human Rights and Counterterrorism. So he's not a nobody. And he's referencing, 274 civilians were killed in this rescue operation to save 4 hostages. And many are pointing out, Vince, hey, isn't it against international law to, take civilian hostages?
There's so many layers to this, and it's really hard to peel it back without having to both sides it. Because on the one hand, look, I look at the people of Palestine and the fact that Hamas took out this action, And, they can sit back and say, look, don't judge us Palestinians by the actions of the people that did this military operation. And they're right for doing that. Look, as an American, I would say to anybody, 20 years ago in Iraq and 14 years ago in Syria, don't judge me by the actions of our government attacking a sovereign nation, or Barack Obama bombing Syria on what turned out to be a lie with gas attacks. So I understand that aspect. The other aspect is, look, if I'm a family member of one of the hostages, if I'm of Israeli descent, you know what? You took hostages. You're going to reap what you sow when we now take military action and rescue those people. So you know what? You brought that on your own people in a roundabout way. With regards to international law, I always find it to be a joke, because
it is a joke.
Picked and choose about which international laws we're going to enforce. I mean, go back to Vietnam and move forward. And wow, a lot of people should have been prosecuted that never were over the past 60 years.
So, Link, I had this, my co-host Pete Hegseth and I had this guy on, and granted, he's a former spokesman for the IDF, but he gave some color to this raid. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Fauda. Fauda is a series on Netflix. It's out of Israel. It's it's very entertaining, about Shin Bet and running operations in Gaza and the West Bank, counterterrorism operations. And for those listening who don't know, Shin Bet is, I don't know, some cross between Navy SEALs and, FBI, what do they call that? The international teams that drop in really quickly and rescue American citizens. But I mean, they're top of the line, counterterrorism in Israel. And he said, truthfully, it's a lot like an episode out of Fauda. They go in, the 4 hostages were held at 2 separate locations. The one team, they go in as a team. I'm sure they're undercover. I'm sure they're dressed, not in IDF uniforms. And they take out the guys, which included civilian spotters, and they get the 3 men hostages into a van, which is armored, but not protected against RPGs. And RPG takes out the vans. It can't move at that point. And then it's swarmed. It's swarmed by people. And it's, Hamas and civilians, but it's indistinguishable at that point. It's all antagonistic. And then they call in the cavalry, both air and land. And 274 people die in getting these people out. And you know what my takeaway is, Link? That's war. Yeah, it's not good. It's not pretty. But last week we talked about D-Day and World War II here on the Will Cain Show, and we talked about civilian deaths. I mean, I think it's 20 million in China, 20 million in the Soviet Union. This is what happens in war. It doesn't mean you co-sign, but please, with your international law. You took hostages, as Vince said.
Right.
Now reap the whirlwind of war.
I can't. I don't know if you can you hear me, Will?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Link. Yeah,
okay,
I got you. I just said you're reaping the whirlwind of war.
Yeah, no, there are a few different things going on here. Number one, we get conflicting numbers from Hamas, from the Palestinians, from our guys in D.C. like Jake Sullivan. We'll get vastly different numbers. Also, there's a deal on the table for Hamas if they want to take it. They're the ones who are hiding in civilian homes. They're hiding underground. They're putting the Palestinians in harm's way. And then the last thing I have to say, I know some people aren't going to like it, but it's just the truth. I don't think there's a parent, a mom or dad on earth who wouldn't go to extreme lengths to bring their kid home from captivity, right? If your kid is being held captive by a terrorist organization and they come to you and say, will you wipe out X, Y, and Z to bring your kid home? I know my mom would say yes. There's nothing my mom wouldn't do to bring me home. So it's very hard to put a price on these things.
Absolutely. And by the way, like you, Lincoln, my connection may be freezing up. I'm still solid here.
Okay, great.
I'm sympathetic to the I'm sympathetic to the long-term solution here of how these two people can coexist. I hope there's some type of, I understand the world's inherently tribalistic. This is the price. This is what happens when tribes go to war. I mean, this is what happens. Hey, Link, I want to move back to politics. If you're hearing me clearly, I want to show you a headline from The Atlantic because I found it really punchy. It's awesome. The headline is Ruth Bader Biden, and it shows it's making the parallel between Ruth Bader Ginsburg, former Supreme Court Justice, and Joe Biden. Ginsburg held on too long, Link. She could have retired under Barack Obama. Instead, she passed away under Donald Trump, allowing Trump to appoint a conservative Supreme Court justice and tip that balance of power. Biden's hanging on. and I don't think many people believe that he actually would make it through a second term. And
right. No, I
don't know what this
Ruth
sets
Bader Ginsburg held on way too long and tarnished her legacy a bit by hanging on too long. What I also have to say is the Democrats have always been successful putting forth these like young, spry, transformative leaders like JFK, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. Joe Biden is sort of the first time they've done a big about face and put forth, a walking zombie. So it is going to be to their detriment. I felt like in the 2019 primary, they could have reared young talent in the Democratic Party, and they kind of just pushed everyone out of the way to go with old Joe Biden, who's been around for 5 decades.
And what does that set them up for, Link? I mean, like if Kamala Harris is president, I really think that could set back Democrats a long time.
I mean, I always say Joe Biden is an utter calamity. Kamala Harris is even worse. I mean, Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's real insurance policy right now because no one wants her and she's polling incredibly low as well. I know also like a lot of Black women are really disappointed in Kamala Harris, and she's supposed to be, the first woman of color in this high executive office. So no, that would be a total disaster to have a Kamala Harris presidency because all she does is cackle on cue, crack some jokes, and then go back to the Naval Observatory.
And I don't know, to complete the analogy with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I don't know what that does to the Democratic Party long term. All right, I don't know if we have both my guests solid connection right now, Vince August and Link Lauren, and that's perfect because I would love to wind up our conversation with this right here, Vince. Story from the New York Post. An Amazon tribe receives Starlink from Elon Musk. And this is an Amazon tribe, not totally disconnected from civilization, but now much more connected. And they are concerned because their young men are already downloading a ton of porn. And within an hour, they had found, YouPorn. And they're off and running.
It's the greatest story that there was today. I mean, are you kidding me? Can you top this story? First off, there's a rule, Will. It's a very simple rule. If it exists, there's porn about it. That's the rule. Okay? So if it's out there, I don't care if it's Amazon porn. I don't care if it's Martian porn. If it exists, there's a porn about it. Now, whether or not I've seen it firsthand or not isn't the point here. The point is it's there to Google. And no matter what you Google, there's a rated X, XXX version of whatever you Google. So you know what? It's about time it made its way there. Good for the Amazon.
Yeah, I feel like this is what the internet was invented for. I mean, you get what you paid for. I'm just imagining this tribal living their nice remote life, and now they're watching like Stormy Daniels' sex tape, So it's just very interesting, this whole situation. But I'm not judging them whatsoever. What are they supposed to do?
Look, we don't need people in the Amazon being more productive than me because I have porn and they don't, okay? We need everybody to waste about an hour a day and be unproductive, Will, okay? Why does your show start at 12, Will? Tell everybody.
Well, to your point, there's everything. So I wonder what those Amazon tribesmen are choosing. I don't think they're choosing Stormy Daniels. So with the world of options at their fingertips, what type of porn exactly is proliferating in the Amazon? Don't answer that. Don't answer that,
I'm
Vince,
definitely also the wrong
your
person to ask. So ask Vince.
Yeah. I feel equally dangerous asking you, Link. So we'll leave that to the imagination for everyone, and we will pray for the tribes of the Amazon. All right, Vince August. Again, check out Vince. He's on X and YouTube, Vince August 21, and Link Lauren, not RFK, but now Gen Z influencer, former campaign advisor to RFK. And you can find him on X at It's Link Lauren. Vince, I wish you the worst of luck in the coming week.
Go Celtics.
Boston Celtics. You bet. Thanks, guys. Boston Celtics up 2-0 on my Dallas Mavericks. And it threatens, if we don't deal with this, like when I was a kid, anybody ever, did you get warts? What's kind of weird? Like, I don't get warts now, but when you're a kid, did you go through a phase? What grade was that? Like 6th grade, I'd get a wart, and you pick that wart, it'd bleed forever. But because you got to pick the wart off, We got a wart in the Will Cain Show. Let's pick it off next.
world of business moves fast. Stay on top of it with the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday. Fox Business reporters, anchors, and hosts will bring you beneath the stock market speculation and boardroom drama to tell you about the biggest business stories of today. Whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street, Fox Business is invested in you.
Listen to the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday at foxbusinesspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Pete Hegseth's eye-opening new book, The War on Warriors.
The army I fought for has gone woke, and it's time to fix that.
The veteran and Fox and Friends weekend host exposes the problems in today's military.
How a far-left ideology has infiltrated the system and is putting our entire country at risk.
With critical insight into the changes that need to happen in the Pentagon and America before it's too late. The War on Warriors by best-selling author Pete Hegseth. Order now at foxnewsbooks.com. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
I'm Janice Dean, Fox News senior meteorologist, and my podcast, The Janice Dean Podcast. Every week, I'll be focusing in on a person, a place, or a thing that deserves your attention because it makes the world a better place. Be sure to subscribe to The Janice Dean Podcast at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to spread the sunshine.
America's listening to Fox News.
Let's air the dirty laundry. Let's clear the air. Let's deal with this wart on the Will Cain Show. It is the Will Cain Show, streaming live at foxnews.com, on the Fox News YouTube channel, on the Fox News Facebook page, and always on demand. Apple, Spotify, hit subscribe if you're hanging out with us on YouTube, and you can jump into the comments. We'll bring you out on air on YouTube or Facebook. We want to see you back here every day on the Will Cain Show, 12 Eastern, live or afterwards. It doesn't matter whether or not you comment live or afterwards. We'll do our best to bring you into and a part of the Will Cain Show. Maybe you can replace the fly in the ointment, the wart that has turned out to be Establishment James. 2 days, Dan, tinfoil Pat, young Establishment James, who is a Boston Celtics fan. I don't want to hear from you, James. I want you to sit in silence for a bit. Your team is up 2-0 on my Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. Tinfoil and two-a-days. I feel like there is, I don't even want to call them unwritten rules. There is a feeling in trash talk that one has to be able to sense.
Yep.
And if you don't feel it, you're going to have problems. And maybe I'm sensitive. Very, very possible, because I am salty. I'm not tweeting. I don't know if you guys have noticed. I'm down to like one tweet a game.
I did notice, yeah.
I'm not saying things on the text chain because my Mavs are getting just curb stomped right now. And here's James. 5 minutes into game one of a 7-game series. Outmatched. They're flustered. This is over. He's talking like it's a sweep. 5 minutes into game one. Tell me, tinfoil in 2 days, he's not reading the room.
I legit was like, wow. Like, to myself, just flabbergasted at the audacity of the texting that early in the game is wild. Wild.
Did I brush him off the plate when I said you are the dumbest sports fan?
I was with some buddies.
Tinfoil.
I legit showed it to my friends. Like, yeah.
What did your friends say? Were they on my side or his side?
Oh no, you can't trash talk that early on your side, for sure.
Tinfoil, did you know I was mad? Did you know I was like back off when I said you are the dumbest sports fan?
No, I thought it was a little gutsy. I don't think I would have done that. I like to play a little safer, closer to the vest. But I didn't really. I think of it more like payback for all the good sports that you've had the last year at my detriment. So I was okay with
I've had it so good I didn't even know it came at your detriment. I mean, I guess the Longhorns in the playoffs over the Seminoles, but I've had the Longhorns in the college football playoff. I've had the Texas Rangers World Series. I had the Stars in the Western Conference Finals. I have got the Mavericks in the NBA Finals. I got it good. So my tolerance for what's happening here on the Will Cain Show is low. 2 days.
Yeah, it's about to get worse right now. We actually have a caller on the line that wants to have a word with you. Caller, are you there? Can you hear us?
Sweet.
Yes. My name's Tyrus, first-time caller. Is Will there?
The minute I heard you have a caller, I was like, good man, I know what this is going to be. It's Tyrus.
Hey, kids. I'm sorry, Will. I'm a little more prepared.
I took a couple days off and then took my kids to Orlando. We're having some fun. I didn't get a chance to catch the game. How's it going?
I feel dizzy right now. I feel legit dizzy.
What's happening, sweetheart? Who's up 2-0? Celtics are up? So that means Daddy's winning? And what does that make Will? Lose that. Hey, and my daughter is also because I'm a family man. My daughter's picking out your shirt.
Right.
Ree, would you please tell him what you picked out for him? We got it made and everything.
A pink shirt that says...
So we are locked and loaded. Hey, you guys, I told you.
This phone's there.
Was going to be a problem. And apparently, Luka's only in shape for 3 quarters. Oh, man.
You have co-opted, Tyrus? You have co-opted your daughters into this?
I'm a family man, and I would have thought you would have respected that. We win as a family. We lose as a family. We're not Mavericks. We're Celtics.
Tyrus, how old are your daughters?
I'm going to get back to work in 12 and 10. The 10-year-old couldn't be here, and you're lucky because that's the one that cusses.
All right, Tyrus, I see how it is. All right, now we're going home to Dallas. My kids will be involved.
Yeah.
Now my kids are in.
Hey.
That's a family. This is.
Let's bring them all in, and even bring the nice young man I met, the soccer phenom that you took out of your time when I got a chance to meet in New York. I'm sorry, his name escapes me. But yeah, bring them all in. Bring them all in. Just the only thing I say is leave the wives out because they'll ruin it for all of us. No wives.
I agree. Leave the women out of the sports trash talk. Bring in the kids. All right, Tyrus, you get your shot. You're up 2-0. You're up 2-0. Enjoy Disney World. I assume that's where you are in Orlando.
I'll call you Thursday.
All right, Thursday it is. Tyrus here on the Will Cain Show talking trash with his family. Nice job, guys. Okay, yeah. So, everyone's really reading the room. I see it.
That was not my call. I didn't want to do this because I don't want to jump in on this thing. Also, I'm being kind of a butt kisser by rooting for the Mavs, as James pointed out in our group text also.
I'm going to let you talk in a second. Yeah. Nope. In a minute, because I have a question for you, okay? I have a question for you. I don't want to hear your trash talk. Tyrus just got it, okay? Okay, I have 2 questions for you, all right? Pull your mic back, young establishment James, and keep it quippy. Are you at all nervous about going back to Dallas? They say a series doesn't start until the road team wins, and I will grant you, we seem to have no answers for the Celtics. But maybe Kyrie starts playing like Kyrie. And maybe the role players play great at home. And Game 2 was actually kind of close.
Yeah.
Are you at all worried going to Dallas? That's question 1.
We'll see how they come out in Game 3, because I think the reason that I trash talked so quickly 5 minutes in was just because I have a very good eye for basketball and could just see the court.
Okay. All right.
We'll see what happens.
That leads me to question 2. That leads me to question 2.
I actually watched the game. No highlights.
Is it... You have a really good eye for basketball. Would that be James that has a good eye for basketball? Would that be young establishment James that has a good eye for basketball? Or would that be the West Village guy that has a good eye for basketball? Because we found your burner, buddy, on X, and it's up on the screen right now. This is what you're doing under West Village guy.
Take that down.
No,
that's my roommate.
We're picking this war.
That's my roommate.
It's your roommate. Stephen A. Smith has tweeted. Put it up again, 2-a-days. Stephen A. Smith tweets, "Send me questions to answer on the Stephen A. Smith show today. Make them good. And West Village guy says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how handsome is Will Cain?
He was so worried about what was happening and what we were going to do for this segment, and now he knows.
Gonna have to scroll through and make sure. Yikes!
You better start deleting right now, because put up another one here. 2 days. We got another one from West Village guy right now, who seems to be a big Doug Burgum fan. The profile is Doug Burgum on West Village guy. And I tweeted, Kyrie has to show up or this is over. It may be over anyway. And West Village guy says, Dallas kept the wrong European.
West Village
So is West Village guy your good eye for basketball?
West Village guy. He's verified, too, which is the best part.
He paid for it.
Yeah, paid for it.
I don't know. This guy seems pretty smart. But
he has good points. He has good points. You know,
Patrick, tinfoil, start screenshotting immediately before he deletes this stuff. I want all of West Village guys. I mean it. Like right now, I want to see your eyes on the screen, tinfoil. I want you screen. He's deleting. I can see he has the phone in his hand.
Yeah. I just hope management's
I
not
want West
watching
Village
this.
guys' greatest hits.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna
so James,
Yeah.
you got to interact with the show. You can't be looking at your phone. Who is the basketball mind? Are you? Is it you or West Village guy?
I would defer to the guy that hangs out in downtown Manhattan watching all the games. I don't know.
That's you. That's
no,
West.
that's not me.
Are you West Village guy?
No, can't confirm or deny, but definitely can't confirm.
That's a hard take the fifth moment right there.
I'd like to remain employed.
Yeah. He's like KD with all the burner accounts.
That's with.
Well, you just kind of ruined the
with
burner because now you got to create a new one because you can't be open and honest if you work for a large corporation.
Yeah, we get to see the real you. Yeah, we
He's
get
funny.
to see the real you now.
He's funny.
West Village guy's funny if you don't say if you say so yourself.
He's got a couple bangers.
It's good stuff here.
I can see. He hangs out in the West Village. He's a big Doug Burgum fan. He likes the Boston Celtics.
Is West Village guy a guy you want to go have a beer with? Is the question. Is that the guy, type of guy?
Right now, he sounds a lot like Young Establishment James on my text feed, and the answer to that is I never want to. By the way, James, this isn't just as you as my antagonist. This is you as my colleague and on the same side of things when it comes to the Texas Longhorns. Mm-hmm. I meant it. You're a dumb sports fan. You tempt fate. When in Longhorns games, you will be like, we got this way too early. And I'm like, have you been a Longhorn fan for a year? You never, ever proclaim victory until the clock hits 0. You are calling games out there left and right way too early. Dumb.
But they're never wrong.
Until they are, though. That's the point.
And I will never be happier if the Mavs. I know he's got a horrible resume. I mean, his resume is Patriots.
I'll say we'll see what happens in Game 3. If they come out in Game 3 and it's strong, there's a series. But it comes down to that.
I don't let you. You can't equivocate. No, you called it in 5
answered
minutes
that
in Game 1.
originally.
No, if the Mavericks come back, I'm halfway. I'd say a third of me wants this for Luka, and a third of me wants this for the Mavericks' legacy. Another 15% wants this just for my own selfish joy. But the remaining 15 is I want to rub your face in it so bad.
Oh, that's fair.
Like after that text.
That's fair.
How good would that feel?
I want slit their throat, rub their face in the mud sports victory at this point. I don't want joyous. I want King Leonidas. That's what I want.
This is Sparta.
Our favorite president always said all publicity is good publicity.
Is that what you're doing? You or West Village guy? All right, that's gonna. There, the laundry is aired. The wart has been picked. Am I right about that? Did you guys have warts? Like, did you ever have a phase of warts like in middle school,
4th, 5th grade?
Yeah, when I was about
what
7.
happens at your when? Yeah, Why is it that age? And then you don't get them when you're an adult.
I could be wrong.
I mean,
maybe it's like a right before you start growing.
I think it's your immune system figuring itself out when you're younger. I think.
Did you? And you picked the wart, right?
Yeah. I had it. Did you have it I had it frozen off, one of them on my foot.
I had them frozen,
yeah,
which works sometimes, doesn't work other times. And then you got to get deep, so you pick it, and then you bleed forever. Yeah.
I think I just got
I
some
don't know
new
what
followers.
happens to us around 5th grade.
Wait.
5th grade in warts. Oh, so you're creating a wart colony over there at West Village, guy. All right. Sweet. We've aired our dirty laundry here on the Will Cain Show, so now the room is clear and I can move along in a more happy state. Of course, until Wednesday and Friday, where I will be at Game 4 of Mavs Celts. Until then, and until tomorrow, I'll see you again next time.